Well, come on, that's right. Give yourselves a hand. Come on, man. We alive. We ain't dead. It ain't no funeral, right? We talk about saving lives. Before I start, I just want to acknowledge the Speaker of the House and her whole team for being here. Nancy Pelosi, thank you. I want to acknowledge our mayor of San Francisco, Mayor London Bree, my sister. It's always a pleasure to have you here in the alley in the Soma. I got to acknowledge my brother, the chief, right there. Chief of Police, SFPD. Originally from L.A., but he in Frisco with us. Right? And our new DA, my sister, Miss Brooks Jenkins. Thank you. I got to give a shout out to Moms Demand Action in the House, the Brady Campaign, the SFPD, all the United players that are here helping us out. And I do not want to forget my returned citizens, our brothers and sisters who had just recently came home. I want to give a shout out to our reentry guy, Everett Butler, who did a life sentence. Omar Davis, who just recently came home after doing over 3 decades behind the walls. And even more recent, I want to give a shout out to my brother Anthony and my uncle right there in the wheelchair, Doug, who just came home off doing almost 50 years. Welcome home, guys, and all the rest of the reentry guys who are here. I got to make sure I give a shout out to Soma West CBD, my brother who cleaned this area all up right here, Big Ed, who did a life sentence. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's making this happen. My brother Sean Richards in the house. Thank you, brother. And all the mothers who are here, and you will see them speak. I just want to say this right here is an investment in our community for our kids and the reentry. This whole building back here that we newly are going to open through my guys, Alan and Chris, who helped us finance this. It's going to be a building for kids to learn how to read, for literacy, and it's going to be for gentlemen who came home from restorative justice reentry. So we're really the elementaries to the penitentiaries for real, y'all. And so I want to thank you for you guys investing and believing in us, because we got to make sure that we had places where we could bring our kids. One of the kids who was in our program, I hate to say, my nephew, who's recently in a tragic situation last night, Nancy, he got shot. It doesn't look, I don't know. It's in God's hands. He's in general right now fighting for his life. In the same place is from our neighborhood where he's from, London. So it's really close to home. And so this is why we stand and what we do, because we're fighting to end senseless gun violence. We want to make sure nobody, no families, nobody, no mothers have to go through the ache and the pain and the tragedy of all this senseless violence. And so we stand in solidarity with all our beautiful people. I want to thank the painters of this building right here, Swirl, Cervante. Thank you, Swirl, and Brother Eli for making this mural happen through every town. My sister Alex. And so, if I missed anything, hopefully you guys will share with us. But I'm just, want to say this is what we stand for. This is what United Players, our foundation, is built on. This is what we ride for. We want to ride and we want to live now. We don't want to ride and die. We want to live. We don't want to, say RIP all the time. We want to say LIP, live in peace. We want us to be here so we can have events and functions where we could come together and say, guess what? We celebrated. In the great words of Maddie Scott, we going to graduations, not funerals. And so with that said, I want to bring up the House Speaker of the United States of America, my sister. She would have been my ex, but Nancy Pelosi, y'all. Come on up. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you very much, Rudy, and thank you all to United Players for all that you have done. in all of Rudy's comments, he was talking about one place or another. And I remember our very first, very big anti-gun violence rally in front of San Francisco General. Remember, Rudy, when we were all there in front of San Francisco General with the physicians who were bringing healing, hopefully, to those who were there. So we're like a family to each other. We've been together over and over. How many times, Mayor, have you taken the lead in churches on an annual basis for some occasions, Mother's Day on other occasions, whatever it is, the mayor has been there. She speaks from personal experience of what growing up in her neighborhood was about. So thank you, because it's not only that you have taken the lead politically, officially, in every way, but you're always there sharing the stories of the loved ones. And Maddie, of course, what can we say about Maddie Scott? What did she say herself? She said, let's stop the killing and start the healing. Maddie Scott, I don't think it was the last time, but the second to last time I saw her, she was right there shaking hands with the President of the United States at the signing of the bill. At the signing of the bill. Nobody should have more right to be there than Maddie. It was quite a remarkable thing, and the President understood that. The President understood that, and she's led us in so many ways. And I'm also glad to be here with Laura Cutaletta. Laura, thank you for sharing your story with us. And again, the mayor and others from City Hall, our officials, our law enforcement, thank you, Chief, and thank you, DA, and thank you all. So here we are. I say to my colleagues, we just passed the assault weapon ban in the House of Representatives. People thought we wouldn't do it. We didn't have the courage to bring it up. Nobody, people would run and hide, but they didn't. They voted for the bill. And I was saying to Maddie, if we just win, not to talk politics, but civics, if we just win 2 more senators who share our view in this next election, 2 months from today, we'll be able to pull back, hi darling, we'll be able to pull back that filibuster and pass the background check legislation and again the assault weapon ban and make the world safer. I say to the colleagues in Congress, this your political survival, I say to the Republicans, because we have the Democrats, your political survival is nothing compared to the survival of our children as we try to protect them from gun violence. So thanks, Moms Against, where are you, darlings? Moms Demand Action and Brady Against Gun Violence and all the other organizations that have worked to do this. We can do just so much maneuvering in the Congress. The outside mobilization, you are the ones who are making this happen. The outside mobilization, the volunteers, as I say, the volunteers in politics are our VIPs. And thank you for that outside. But we will, how do we say it? Every meeting, we're not stopping until the job is done. And what a model United Playaz is to the country. That's why Rudy's on my case, because we have $4 million in our House bill for the building, and we are fully intending to bring that check the next meeting as soon as we can get the bill done. But that is what we call a personal request of the Speaker, so I think we won't have too much problem with that. But again, let's look at each other and say, how many times have we seen each other at these meetings? And how beautiful it is to see an ever-widening circle of friends. But this is about our children, their safety. You know the record. More children die of anything else combined in the country than gun violence. How could it be? 100 people a day die of gun violence. 5 of them little children. So thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being a model to the nation from our own communities. Takes the hood to save the hood, right? Is that what we got on the back there? And then when all of this goes on and we cry about it and the rest, we say, we don't agonize, we organize. We're going to get the job done. Thank you all. And let's say thank you to Rudy for being such a... Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Rudy. I said it earlier. Our mayor has been a model to the country, to the world. Today she welcomed the Queen of the Netherlands, and did so beautifully, representing our city, our values, finding our common ground. But it would be hard to think of any event on gun violence prevention that the mayor has not taken the lead on, been at, or sent her representatives if she happens to be not in town, and that would be very, very rare. We're very blessed in so many ways with her mayorship in terms of whether it's COVID, whether it's this, whatever it happens to be, because it's always about the people. It's about justice. It's about fairness, about respect. And she and I share a thought. When Rudy was talking about our brothers who are just really returning now from some other experiences, I was thinking of the Gospel of Matthew. In the Gospel of Matthew, he says, when I was hungry, you fed me. Christ says, God says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was homeless, you sheltered me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. A very important value for us to have. We share that value. We all share our respect for our great mayor, Mayor London Breed. Thanks.
Well, first of all, I have so many thoughts running through my head at this moment because of all the people that are joining us here today. Madam Speaker, we are so lucky and blessed to have you as our Speaker of the House, as someone who continues to fight for the things that are so dear to us. I think that, people don't really realize the battles that you deal with on a regular basis, not with making sure that San Francisco is okay and that, United Players and other organizations and resources are provided, but also taking care of the entire country, looking at the bigger picture of why getting the right people in office is so significant. Traveling all over this country to raise money and to elevate the message, because when it's all said and done, getting the votes for so many important policies that help us address this issue, that's what makes change. And the fact that you work tirelessly on the Safer Communities Act, what you're doing around assault, banning assault weapons, and I just can go on and on about your leadership because it's what's helping all of us, meet the need at this time, meet the challenge, and come together in this remarkable way. So we are grateful for your leadership. And when I think about what's happened over the years, I think about, my childhood and growing up with Maddie Scott's son. And just George was a great person. And then I see his sons now, and it breaks my heart that he never got a chance to see what amazing kids he created. But we are here to also make sure that they know who their dad was. You think about these kids who never even had a chance to go to prom. So I show up for these events, whether I'm supervisor, mayor, it doesn't matter. A title matters not to me. What matters most to me is making sure that the next generation of young people growing up don't have to continue to experience the pain because of the loss of their relatives due to gun violence, of witnessing someone getting shot and killed right in their face at the age 12, which is what happened to me and people I grew up with. Worried about what's happening in their school, doing drills to make sure that they're protected from gun violence in schools. I want to recognize and appreciate Maddie Scott, Rudy, and Sean Richard especially, because for so many years, these three were in the trenches with no funding, with no support, for many, many years, doing the hard work when no one was paying any attention to this issue in the capacity that we see now. And it's not something that we wanted people to have to experience. That's why they fought so hard. We never wanted organizations to have to emerge for this purpose. It is so heartbreaking and frustrating at the same time. But I still have hope. I have hope because all of you are here. Because of Brady, because of Moms Demand Action, because of the consistency of Rudy, Sean, and Maddie Scott, and because of our fearless leader, Madam Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I have hope that we're going to get where we need to go, because it's not just reacting to these situations after they occur. It's about prevention too. It's about investments. It's about getting to our kids before they even get to that point where they even think about picking up a gun, before that should not even be a thought in their head. And part of that journey of trying to get to a better place means investments. And this is why in San Francisco we invest a lot of resources into programs and things that we know are going to make a difference, that we know are going to have a tremendous impact of not only our young people, but also those who may or may not have made a mistake in their lives and who have come home and deserve a second chance. They deserve an opportunity. And then we hope that the next generation will learn from those experiences and never want to get in a position like that where they get locked up in the first place. There's work that needs to be done, and we're doing the work in San Francisco. And I am grateful and proud of the work especially that our police chief is doing. We just got a $6 million grant in order to address violence prevention, in order to invest in preventing the kinds of outcomes that happen because of gun violence from happening. And I'm grateful to be here also with our District Attorney Brooke Jenkins and our Supervisor Matt Dorsey, partners in the efforts to ensure that when we talk about criminal justice reform, we're talking about real criminal justice reform, real second chances, and preventing problems from happening in the first place. We have so much work to do, but I'm still hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future. I'm hopeful because I know we're going to continue to advocate until the job is done. I'm hopeful because of the investments that we're going to continue to make. We've had a couple of really tragic incidents that occurred in San Francisco over the last couple of weeks. Heartbreaking situations, things that should have been prevented. There's a lot of hurt people out there because of this. And Maddie Scott always say, hurt people hurt people. And so healed people are a blessing to making sure that the world is a better place. It's time for us to continue to roll up our sleeves and get the job done. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but all of you make such a difference in the work that's ahead. And I am excited to be working with you on getting the job done. So thank you so much again to all of the folks who are joining us here today. And at this time, I really want to bring up a woman who needs no introduction. Miss Maddie, I've known her since I was a kid. And she's a spiritual woman. She's a praying woman. She's a godly woman. And it wasn't just about her kids and her grandkids in our community. She always shows so much love to all of the kids in the neighborhood. It's why she developed a reputation for being the person that everyone goes to, especially when they're going through a very challenging time in their lives. So, Maddie, you've uplifted so many people in your life, and so today we uplift you, and we thank you, and we thank God for your work, for everything that you've done, for sharing your experience, for turning the tragedy of your life into an advocacy moment that has really turned lives around. Even if you can't see it every day, it has happened. And so we thank God for you, and we appreciate you. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, let's give Maddie Scott a round of applause.
Thank you for that, Mayor Breed, who would have been my daughter-in-law, y'all. Okay, I was working on it. I was working on it. But first, giving honor to God for allowing all of us to be here today on this beautiful day. It is for His glory that His sun is shining down on all of us, because He knows our hearts. He knows each and every one of our hearts, and He knows that we care. We care about life. He knows that we want a better day for our children. He knows that. And so I'm just grateful that all of you are here today. I'm very humbled and very proud to be standing before you, where I was able to turn my tragedy into triumph, to turn my pain into purpose. I could no longer lay there on the couch drinking myself to death, angry at the world, mad at everybody, secluded and locked up. And I have a praying mother. I have a praying mother who just turned 100 years old, y'all. 100 years old. And I have to honor her today, because I wouldn't be standing here today, you all, if it wasn't for her. Because I wanted to give up. I wanted to die. I felt like the world had killed me when my son's life was taken. And she said, no, 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 no. No, you must go on. You must go on. You must get up. You can't quit. And so I honor my mother everywhere I go, and I thank God for her. And I thank God for our ferocious speaker, congressional leader that represents us here in San Francisco, that represents our nation and our country. Our speaker, not only just our speaker, but our friend, our sister, our mother. She's a mother, so she knows what we're feeling. She knows what we go through. And that's none other than our speaker, Nancy Pelosi, our Congress leader, who I'm so dedicated and grateful to for choosing me to be one of the California electors to cast a deciding vote for President Biden and Vice President, our girl, Kamala Harris. It was an honor to do that, and I'm so ever grateful for you giving me that opportunity. I thank you. And for our Mayor, London Breed, and to our Mayor, London Breed, who has been a champion all through the community, from OC to AACC to the mayors at City Hall, being our mayor at City Hall. We're just so grateful to you, Mayor Breed. Your heart is just full of compassion. We thank you, Speaker Pelosi, Leona Bridges, and Christine, and all of that are involved every year. Every year, they put on a dinner for us for Mother's Day. We were in front of City Hall protesting every Mother's Day, because we wanted people to know what Mother's Day felt like. It wasn't a good day for us, but because of Leona Bridges and Mayor Breed and Christine, we thank you guys for what you do for us at Third Baptist Church every year, and Dr. Amos C. Brown as well. You make our Mother's Day happen. You do. Yes. And to our Chief of Police, Chief Scott, who came in and rolled up your sleeves and who worked with us continually to help fight this situation that we have with crime and violence. We have a remarkable team, and don't let me forget our Brady team. Our Brady team is on the ground 24/7, you all. 24/7 in legislation. Sheikah Hamilton, our Vice President of Organizing, and Kat Sakalakas, I always can't say her name right. But anyway, I want you to know that every day, every Monday we're in meetings. Every Wednesday we're in meetings on the ground running from D.C. all over the country to change legislation in this country that's going to be better for our children, with the school memo project, with safer storage, okay, and our Governor Gavin Newsom, who has passed the majority of every bill that we put forth here in the state of California. So, and Rudy Corpus, my brother from another mother, my partner, I just want to thank you for all that you do, how you always represent us mothers, and how you always keep your doors open, you and Misha and your whole entire staff. And welcome home to all you brothers. Welcome home to all of you, because we mothers, you know, we've been to San Quentin. We're not afraid. We went inside the San Quentin years ago, over, what is it now, 20 years, Liz, with No More Tears, and work with the brothers on the inside to share with them our grief, our pain, and to turn their lives around. And lo and behold, look what we have. We have brothers and sisters coming out of Chowchilla, coming out of San Quentin, coming home from Vacaville and other places to do this work. That is what we need. That is what we want, to turn it around. Because we don't agonize, we organize. We don't agonize, we organize. Let's say it. We don't agonize, we organize. Come on now. We don't agonize, we organize, Sean Richard, my brother. Sean Richard, you all don't know, lost two brothers from gun violence. Been at my side ever since. Knew my son. Sean was with us out there at the Cow Palace, because every time there was a gun show at the Cow Palace, guess what? That week was a week of violence in Sunnydale and Visitation Valley and in the Fillmore. We would lose children every single time. But Brady, United Playaz, Brothers Against Guns, Sean Richard, and God bless Sharon Hewitt. May she rest in peace. My sister, who taught us to go out and to protest in front of the Cow Palace, that we would not allow you to sell no more guns in our community. That's activism, you all. That's activism. That's activism. That's what we do. We don't agonize, we organize. We don't criticize, we organize. We don't jeopardize, we organize. Because each one must reach one and teach one. Because this is about all of us or none of us. We will stop the killing and start the healing. We will go to graduations and not funerals. We will vote for those senators that we need in the White House to change this demographic of gun violence around in our nation. We did it with the women's movement. We did it with the civil rights movement. They said we couldn't do it. They said we would never vote. They said we would never stop Jim Crow. And now they're saying we'll never end gun violence. I'm like the mayor. I have faith. I have faith of a mustard seed that we can and we will stop gun violence in our nation. Because it's about all of us and none of us, Moms Demand Action. All lives matters. All lives matter. You know, I look at us today, and I'm so grateful and so thankful. I have a grandson on the way. My son is a grandfather in heaven. He's got a granddaughter and a grandson on the way. I thank God for that. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for you all. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for you, for God, for my mother. I wouldn't be standing here, you all. I would be on the couch. And so that's why I work so hard to pick up other mothers. That's why we work so hard, Liz and Sherry and all of our mothers. When another mother's in trouble, we're there to pick them up, to lift up their bowed down head. And so we're praying right now, because today is one of our dear sisters who's been on the battlefield a long time. Today is her daughter's anniversary. I don't know if she's here. Sharika Westry, Lynn Westry's daughter. 24 years ago, she was killed violently on 3rd Street. So today we honor Sharika Wesley, because Lynn Westry gives her life 24 hours a day to this job, meeting with mothers, meeting at the crime scene, preparing the funerals, after care with us to help those mothers in our healing circles. So Lynn is not here, but we honor Sharika today, and we honor you, Lynn, for all that you do. Oh, we're so grateful today. You guys have made my day today. I'm so grateful to our Mayor Breed, who was the first mayor, you all, to sign the ghost gun ban legislation, the first mayor in the country. with our board of supervisors, Supervisor Catherine Stefani. We have some great leaders here, you all, from our speaker to our mayor to our supervisors to our police chief and to you, all of our activists, to all of you, and to Speaker Pelosi's staff, Dan Burnell, Mr. Ho, Christine, who's not here, all of your staff, and Mayor Breed, your staff. They're always there for us, no matter what. The people behind the scenes, we thank you. We thank you because we couldn't get this job done without you. Because this is about all of us or none of us. We want to go to graduations and not funerals. We want our kids to excel, not to be looking over their shoulders, okay, while in a classroom. We want them to be able to play freely on the schoolyard. So the only way we're going to get that done is in the voting booth, y'all. In the voting booth, y'all. You got to support Val Demings. You got to support the senators from Ohio and Pennsylvania. If you got relatives and family back there, spread the word. Spread the word to get those people elected, because those are the people that represent us. They represent what we do on a daily basis. Because as I say, this is about all of us or none of us. We will stop the killing and start the healing. All lives matter. All lives matter. Because I want to hear you say it. We don't agonize, we organize. Can I hear you? We don't agonize, we organize. I don't hear you. We don't agonize, we organize. We organize for justice, for peace, for life, for goodness, for education, for housing. That's what we do. We don't agonize. We're going to organize. And right now I want to bring up one of my sisters who lost both of her sons, who I love dearly, who's been in this trenches with me for over 20 years, inside the San Quentin, at the vigils, at City Hall, in Sacramento, on the phone midnight hours while we're talking to another mother, trying to calm her down to tell her put down that bottle, going to another mother's house in the wee hours, you all, to comfort her. That's the work we do. That's the work you don't hear about. To prevent suicide. And as you all know, this is Suicide Prevention Week. So pray for our families. Pray for our children. Pray for them. Because we have a fentanyl epidemic going on. We have a lot of other violence that's going on. But thank God for our leaders who represent us. Thank God for our Brady team and United Playaz and all of you who are here today. I love every last one of you, and I want you to know you're in my prayers, Brother Damien, just for us. Oh, I love you, my brother. So right now, without further ado, I want to bring up Liz Torres from Healing for Our Families in Our Nation.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Torres. I'm native San Franciscan, and Maddie, that you brought up Sharon Hewitt. Many of you don't know that Sharon Hewitt teaches mothers when she was alive. She taught me in San Mateo County, Daly City Police Department, how to deal with investigators. She told me what to get, what to bring. Be prepared, she said. Be prepared. And I did. And I always keep that dear to me. So God bless you, Sharon. I have to read because off the cuff it's too emotional. So I want to stay on script here. So please forgive me. Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Torres of Healing for Our Families and Nation and Mothers in Charge. I am the proud mother of Francisco Garcia Pena, age 19, in 2004 when he was murdered with assault weapons. 5 years later, my son Alvaro Garcia Pena, age 24, in 2009 would also be murdered. Back in 2004, there wasn't many places a mother or family members could go to seek help beside the witness. Not the witness, I'm sorry. 850 Bryant. And then, God bless Mitchell Salazar. He said, hey, I got some folks you need to meet. And he introduced me to Maddie Scott at a healing circle. And that was the first time that a mother could go to a place like that, confidential, protected, just to release all the hurt, the burden. And I had a lot of anger back then, a lot, and it almost drove me nuts going in the street, odd hours, places I should never be going to, looking for who killed my kid. It's devastating. It's devastating. So you do not want to imagine the shock, the loss, the trauma, the daily pain of years it takes to go from victim to survivor. It takes on the strength and will of a higher power in you to fight back, to refuse to accept that our sons and daughters can be stolen from you without consequence, to have to return and perform and produce as though these traumas never happened. I have been in this battle for over 18 years for gun violence prevention and education with the help of my family and community. I have solicited help from the incarcerated behind prison walls for positive support and guidance while going through the judicial system in my son's cases. Now that's the clean aspect of it. But I was really going to San Quentin was to offer anybody a care package, money, for word on how to solve my son's cases. I just couldn't see myself living, breathing, without doing something, fighting. No, you cannot take a child from parents, kill them, and then just go about your business. No, you can't. You got to fight back. And there was a lot of tug back behind those walls because they felt like, I got a story. I've been hurt. You know, it's not just you mothers coming in behind the wall. We got something to offer too. And it took a few years, but we got it. We got it. And surprising, they actually helped me when the people that were responsible for my son's first death, they actually helped me. Because the biggest fear I wanted to address is I wanted to know what happens to you when you're behind the walls. Do you think of the victims that you have murdered? Because our family sure thinks of you guys. And I know that's not popular, but they honestly answered me. And that was the biggest consolement. They also helped me in court, not by being there, but guiding me. I'm asking them, why isn't he looking at me? Why aren't they looking at me? They robbed me. They stole something from me. And they would explain and teach me, no, they cannot. They cannot do that. They've been instructed not to do that. So I got it. So I give a lot of my healing to No More Tears because it helped me deal with my anger, and they were honest enough when I asked the most intimate questions. Do you think of the victims on the day that you murdered them? Do you think of their birthdays? Do you think of your birthday while you're here? And they said to me that, you know, when we go to sleep and we rest, everything goes. But it's waking up and dealing with that and moving on in the yard, in the cell block. That's what it is. And it just, it helped me. It helped heal me. I have consulted with parents that have been affected by violence, sharing my experience in navigating with law enforcement and the superior court system. I am so appreciative of this administration for all the positive work taken to combat gun violence, giving us hope and that justice will prevail with an urgency that is much needed. We waited a long time, but I'm glad that God got you in the right place. Thank you. And thank you too, Linda Marie. I want to personally thank you, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, for representing us in Congress for common sense legislation, and to our Mayor London Breed, who signed the ghost gun legislation. Thank you. And to our brother Rudy, Corpus of United Players, and his team for your leadership, strength, and guidance. And to all who took the time to be in attendance today, thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce Laura Cataleta.
Hi. Thank you so much to Speaker Pelosi and United Players. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm the Managing Director of Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Our organization was founded in the aftermath of a terrible tragedy that took place at a law firm at an office building in San Francisco, 101 California Street, not too far from where we stand today. In 2016, we joined forces with the organization founded by former Congresswoman from Arizona, Gabby Giffords. She was shot on January 8th, 2011, while she was meeting with constituents in her hometown of Tucson, Arizona. The shooter also killed 6 people and wounded 13. But despite her critical injuries, Gabby embarked on a courageous journey of rehabilitation. And her commitment to the American people has never wavered, even to this day. She now leads our efforts as an organization to save lives from gun violence. Gun violence is a crisis that is growing at alarming rates. Gun deaths have been spiking across the nation. In 2020, there were over 45,000 gun deaths, and preliminary data is telling us that in 2021, it will be close to 49,000. The violence is expansive, but the toll of everyday gun violence is disproportionately felt in our Black and brown communities. At Giffords, we've been working on this for many years. And we know that making our community safer from gun violence is a marathon, not a sprint. It's something that we've had tremendous success with at the state level in recent years. Since the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary in 2012, we and others in the gun violence prevention movement, some of whom are here today, have helped pass more than 460 state gun laws in 45 different states. And some of these laws, like filling loopholes in domestic violence laws and red flag laws, are now federal law because they were included in the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And let me just say that that act is the most significant gun safety legislation enacted in nearly 30 years. It was a tremendous victory. Some of the things, the legislation does many things, including barring some abusive dating partners from obtaining firearms, making straw purchasing and firearms trafficking federal crimes, investing in programs that support community violence, intervention and prevention, and many other things. But the enactment of this historic law is just the beginning. The law will only be effective if we fully and faithfully implement it. That's why Giffords is now working to help federal departments, sub-agencies, state and local officials to implement this law. I wanted to mention 2 other bills that were passed in the House. The Protecting Our Kids Act, which raises, if enacted, it would raise the federal minimum age to buy an assault-style rifle or shotgun. It would ban ghost guns, create a federal child access prevention law, among many other things. And in July, the House passed the assault weapons ban with bipartisan support. That bill would ban the future manufacture of assault weapons for civilian use while allowing gun owners to retain their current weapons. And it would also ban the future manufacture and sale of large capacity ammunition magazines, which are the common thread in mass shootings. Giffords has been at the forefront of this fight for a long time, and we're not backing down. We need to keep the momentum going, and we need courageous legislators like Nancy Pelosi. Thank you so much, Speaker Pelosi. Oh. And most importantly, I need to introduce Claire Senchina of Moms Demand Action.
Good afternoon. This is a mural of my son Camilo. I want to start by thanking Alex from Moms Demand Action and Rudy from United Players for making this happen. And I want to thank Eli, the muralist, who was a childhood friend of Camilo's. They were students together at San Francisco Public School, going through the Spanish immersion program at Buena Vista and Lick Middle School. Camilo was born and raised in San Francisco, the city he loves so much. He worked as an EMT for Falk Ambulance as he went to paramedic school with the goal of working for the San Francisco Fire Department. The day after he finished paramedic school, he went out to celebrate and was shot and killed by a 21-year-old stranger as he was leaving the club. I was told he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that seems to describe our country at this moment in time. We have a problem with gun violence and too many mothers who live with this unbearable grief. This is a mural of Camilo, but it represents all those who we have lost to gun violence, to senseless gun violence, and to all of us who stand up and say we don't have to live like this. I also want to thank Maddie and Elizabeth. They both, when they spoke, we all lost our children in different ways. Our children were all different, and we all, as mothers, experienced many of the same things. I often was on the couch for many hours drinking, and I also found relief going to San Quentin and sitting in those circles. I went in with a lot of anger, and I came out with my heart broken open. And I remember sitting in one circle of offenders who had committed homicide when they were teenagers. And I told them that I had dedicated my life now to working for gun violence prevention. That was my way of dealing with this. And every one of them said, wow, if there wasn't a gun so easy for me to pick up when I was 15 or 16, someone wouldn't be dead and I wouldn't be here. We're not monsters. It was just so easy. So to bring Speaker Pelosi up, I also want to speak of my mom. I first met Speaker Pelosi when we both spoke at San Francisco General at the event after John Lewis's sit-in in Congress. And my 88-year-old mom was there, and she loved to follow politics. And I asked Speaker Pelosi to come and meet her, which she kindly did. And my mother went up to her and said, I will not die in peace until you are Speaker again. And then a few years later, she was, and we were at a vigil at a church in San Francisco, and she came over to say hi to my mom, and my mom said to her, now I can die in peace. And then she turned to me, a lapsed Catholic, and said, she understands because she's Catholic. And my mother died this year of 92 years old in peace. Thank you very much.
And may your mother rest in peace, knowing that you are at peace, or striving to be there. It must be very hard. Well, you see this, you see what it says here? It says, Gun Violence Prevention Day of Action. There's a day of action around the country. And what better place for us to observe it here in San Francisco than with Rudy and United Playaz and with our people who presented today, and with each and every one of you, so we can say thank you to you. Let's recognize one really important word that we saw demonstrated here: courage. Courage, the courage of Maddie, oh my gosh. The courage of Liz Torres, oh my gosh. And Claire, your courage. Your courage. It's really hard for us to imagine how we would cope with such a thing, and then use that grief for action to help save other lives and comfort other people. Let us salute their courage. That makes such a difference. And Laura, thank you for talking about the Giffords and all that has been happening with activism and all of this. When this bill, the bill that we passed and became law, that Maddie was there shaking hands with the president a minute after he signed the bill, when we were passing it, we thought, is this really enough? Should we settle for that? You know what I'm saying to you. Because there was so much more we wanted. We wanted background checks, we wanted assault weapon ban, we wanted some more things. And I said to Lucy McBath, I said, Lucy, I give you my vote and my leadership of this caucus. If you say it's okay, we will have the Democratic votes for it. And she said, we absolutely must make this progress, So for all of us who wanted more, and we always want more, with Lucy McBath, who lost her son, Jordan, and she has dedicated her life to helping alleviate the pain of others. She said it was good enough for her, for now, nonetheless, it will make a difference. She said it will save lives, and she spoke very beautifully to our caucus in that regard. And so then we're here with our mayor, a leader, a model to the nation on how to channel the energy, to guide the legislation, to make a difference. Thank you, Mayor, on this day of action. And again, to see Camillo, how beautiful, with his Giants cap there and his friend who portrayed that. And to hear you, Claire, talk about him and your mother multi-generationally in all of this. So this is a day of courage for the moms. We spend a lot of time, don't we, with the survivors. No words are adequate that we can say to comfort them. Only action to get the job done to prevent further violence is a comfort. But we take their guidance. We listen to you. We listen to you, and that your wisdom, your strength, your courage makes the difference. So I have no doubt that we will get the job done. Our president is committed to it. You know how much time he spends with survivors. And he has lost children, not from gun violence, but he's in that club. So the survivors welcome him in a different way than they might welcome the rest of us. So he is determined that we will do more. And, of course, elections have ramifications. So all we want is, we're not saying somebody should vote Democratic or Republican. We just, and everybody to vote for the children, to stop gun violence, for legislation that will do just that. So I'm here to say thank you to all of you for making our San Francisco Day of Action to prevent gun violence so successful, and a drumbeat across our region and a drumbeat across our nation to save the children, for the children. So thank you all for not agonizing, but organizing. Thank you all so much. And Rudy, where is he? Rudy, let's bring him back up. Rudy, what a guy. I don't know how he was as a little boy, how he ran around. I can't figure that out. But whatever it is,
Once upon a time.
whatever it is, he is God's blessing to us. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Rudy. I yield back.
Thank you.
Sweetheart.
Haley's here. She wants to
love
say
you.
hi to you.
Oh.
It's Haley. Come on, Josh. So, Calvin, what we doing? All right. Hey, UP, fall in, y'all. Come on, UP. Come on, bro. Let's scoot over a little bit. Let's scoot this way.